Okay.
All right, welcome everyone to my fourth Wellness Wednesday webinar. I've got a really exciting topic. I love this topic because it just covers so much. So let me just start from this slide. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about environmental toxins and the impacts of what happens when we are exposed to too much of the environmental toxins and its effect on our health. So for those that don't know me, I'm a natural health practitioner. I've been a practitioner now for 13 years. I'm also a beauty therapist of 19 years, and my passion is in women's health, longevity, aging, and stress. So what we can do to basically live a long, healthy life. I'd love to research and, find out what we can do so we can live a long, healthy life. Oh, that's the next question. So basically, when a baby's cord blood, when a baby is born, it contains around 287 toxins already. They're discovered at birth in the cord blood, right? And you can imagine this is before the baby even takes its first breath. Like, it's just insane. So why does a baby have that many toxins when it's not even born yet? Well, it's coming from the mother. So the mother itself has been exposed to that many toxins that it's actually going into the baby, and it's already in the baby's system before the baby's even born. So that's why it's a good idea, if you're pregnant or even if you're looking at conception, that you're really looking at detoxing your health. I'm going to cover this in the next few slides on what we can do so you can minimize your toxins and your toxic load before you have a baby, because this will actually affect the baby's health. So who can guess, and I'll leave it in the chat, who can guess how many toxins are circulating in our environment since the Industrial Revolution? Take a guess. See who's the closest. Thousands, yeah, how many thousands? Let's see who's going to get close. No Googling. 80,000, is that, yeah, so 6,000. Who else wants to take a guess? Yeah, it's definitely in the thousands, tens of thousands. Okay, so I think Julie was the closest. All right, so there's actually around, oh, sorry, I'll just go back. We'll go to that next. So yeah, we're already exposed to many toxic substances before we're born. So there's actually 85,000, and they say it's climbing. It's probably closer to 90,000 or even 100,000, but there is around about 85,000 plus chemicals daily in our environment since the Industrial Revolution. So that is crazy. The assault on our body, on our immune system is just horrendous. No wonder there is so many autoimmune disease, all sorts of things cropping up, more so than ever before, right? We're exposed to so much, and we'll see what we're exposed to on a daily basis. So what are we exposed to just even from the environment, right? We're not even talking about other things. We've got diesel fumes, right? So just a tip, if you ever go and fill up petrol, I always look where the wind is blowing, and you want to stand behind the pump. You want to stand so you're actually not getting the diesel fumes blowing into your face when you're actually filling up. It's really important that I always check for where the wind is blowing, and I make sure I'm standing behind the wind when I'm filling up my petrol. Bisphenol A, which is the type of toxin in plastics, right? You've got lead, you've got mercury from people eating too much fish, which are high in mercury. Each cigarette contains over 4,000 synthetic chemicals. It's insane. So if you're smoking a pack a day, I mean, how many is that? 4,000 times 30, you do the maths, right? It's a lot. And exhaust and pollution from the car, ammonia, insect pesticides. So when they spray the gardens, or when they're spraying anything, lawns, gardens, golf courses, they actually need to put a sign when they're actually spraying any communal playgrounds and things like that. You can actually call ahead of time. They reckon to not go to any of those playgrounds and things like that for at least about a week and a half, 10 days after they've actually sprayed any sort of communal gardens and things like that, just to let that settle, right? And my sister from Singapore, and she says that they're consistently spraying. It's once a month. They spray literally the outside of the buildings to stop mosquitoes and all sorts of, airborne insect disease and things like that. So it's crazy just how much people are using pesticides to spray. Flame retardant. So any of those sort of couches you buy, clothing, all of those have got flame retardants on there, which are extremely toxic. Right, dry cleaning. There's the type of toxin in dry cleaning. So don't dry clean your clothes if you can. Right, it's quite strong. Right, any aluminium from spray cans, from when people used to use a lot of deodorants and things like that, parabens. Right, that is all really toxic as well. Food pesticides. Right, what we're spraying in basically our foods and what we're ingesting. Poisoning, aluminium poisoning. So if you're drinking from aluminium cans, right, that's a heavy metal toxin. Fluoride has been shown to cause a lot of neurological issues, health issues, right? So they're putting a lot of fluoride in our water. Fluoride from toothpaste isn't as bad. It's sort of food grade fluoride, but a lot of fluoride in water, and you can research your information on fluoride. But yeah, it's been shown to cause a lot of problems with the fluoride in water. So what happens basically when we have an onslaught of chemicals, right? Our body creates what we call free radicals. So free radicals are unstable chemicals which are formed in the body from exposure to all these environmental toxins, be it from air, from water, from food, right? All of that comes into our body and it causes unstable free radicals. So too many free radicals actually attack our healthy cells. So you can see here the free radicals that actually attacks and basically causes the cells to age. It causes basically disease prematurely, right? So it's all these onslaught environmental toxins that causes a lot of free radicals in the body. And so we want to try to minimize these free radicals, right? So that we can, keep our cells healthy. And we'll see what we can do to mitigate the free radicals. So when there's too much free radicals, it causes what we call oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is at the cause of every single disease, right? If you look up oxidative stress and a disease, it comes basically from everything, and that's coming from too many free radicals in our bodies. So anything that is from skin problems to kidney issues to joint inflammation, lung, brain, any autoimmune system problems, cardiovascular, organ failure, aging, eyes, heart, everything actually can be traced down to free radicals and oxidative stress in our body. So oxidative stress is the cause of 99% of chronic illness. So pretty much everything comes down to that. So we have to really look after, improving the free radicals in our body and how we can mitigate oxidative stress. So what can we do? So there's lots of toxins on our health. We've seen that. So toxic exposure affects our biological and cellular aging. So it causes what we call inflammation. There's a new term that people love to use called inflammation and aging, which comes from toxic exposure. And this is through some of the heavy metals, such as lead and mercury, PFOS, which is the flame retardant as well. And basically those three things are the three toxins with the greatest impact they've done research on that affects our lifespan and chronic illness, right? So the heavy metals actually cross the blood-brain barrier and create a lot of havoc on our system. Things like chemicals and pesticides, right? So glyphosate, Roundup, if we're not eating organic, right? All the pesticides on our food is actually affecting our health as well. Food and water toxins, right? And then you've got skincare, personal care. Also mold. Mold is a big one. So mold is highly toxic. I've got a little autistic kid I'm seeing at the moment, and he had a mold test done, and one of his, they found in the system this mold that was through the roof. It should be like 30 or 40, and it's somewhere near 1,000 something. So it's really wreaking havoc. So if you're living in a building, you can actually go and check for mold, and that's actually very toxic to our health as well. All right, and then also our body's own internal toxins through, an irregular microbiome and that as well. So we just spoke briefly about heavy metals, right? So we've seen that heavy metals. So if you've got things like mercury fillings in your mouth, right? Also heavy metals through foods that you're eating, through the waters, right? The waters contain a lot of heavy metals. You're going to get an increase in things like lead, mercury, and cadmium. All right, so things from the dental amalgam. So if you've got any dental amalgams, I'd get them checked out and removed from a holistic dentist, because it's actually leaching mercury 24/7 into your bloodstream, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier into the brain as well as into the fetus, right? So if you're pregnant. And that's why if you've got a lot of heavy mercury, a lot of heavy lead, that's actually passing through the different generations. And it takes around about 6 generations to actually clear the mercury. But if it never gets cleared, it just keeps passing down and down and down. So they say that actually in our bloodstream, we've got mercury from almost 4 or 5 generations, 6 generations from, you know, our mothers. So it's quite a lot, right? It's so heavy, it's very hard to remove. Lead disrupts the body at a very deep cellular level. It's also poison to the body, right? It's a neuro and endocrine toxin. So it mucks around with our hormones, with our brain health, and it causes severe immune issues as well as inflammation and stress. So like I said, the mercury, it's in the system for, they say, 6 generations, so quite a lot. It's a long time. Mercury is something that is very hard to remove. So especially if you've got dental amalgams, you really want to do best to minimize. We're going to have levels in our body, but it's about having them at a level that is manageable by our immune system, right? And not too much that it's affecting our health. So PFOS, it's actually a chemical product that it makes water, oil, grease, and stain resistant things. So anything you find that is water resistant, grease resistant, stain resistant, right? It's a type of firefighting foam, and it's actually on a lot of non-stick cookware. So if you're using anything like Tefal, non-stick cookware, that is terrible for your health. I suggest changing to something that is stainless steel, or you can get like titanium, something that doesn't have that coating on there. If you do have non-stick cookware, as soon as you get a little bit of a scratch, I would definitely be removing it. But if you can basically change your entire cookware, it'll be so much healthier for you. Any waterproof products, if you're getting clothing which is sort of flame retardant, waterproof, that's all been sprayed with PFOS. Stain repellent on furniture and carpet. So when you buy furniture, when you're buying new carpet, it's all in there. A microwave popcorn packs. So if anyone uses microwave popcorns, they are the worst things when it's in that plastic, right? It's actually covered in PFOS. Also, if you are using an oven and you're putting down aluminium foil, that is very, very toxic as well. So you want to be putting it sort of with baking paper. So if you're going to put aluminium, put it down at the bottom and then use baking paper. So I never use aluminium in my oven. So you want to wrap things in like a baking paper that doesn't have that heavy metal in there. Unfiltered tap water also is very toxic as well, and any sort of synthetic chemicals. So all of these things you want to minimize or make those small changes bit by bit in your kitchen, in your house, right, to try to minimize some of these effects. So type in the chat if anyone's ever heard of the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, right? So just type a 1 in the chat if you know what the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen is. So those who can't buy organic, it's not always possible for everyone to buy organic foods, right? We can eat what we call the Clean 15 foods. So the Clean 15 foods are what we call the foods with the lowest pesticides. They're basically not really sprayed, right? They either have a thick skin or they're usually not, they don't attract the insects and the pests. So they're not really sprayed with much pesticides, if at all. Right, and the Dirty Dozen is basically the worst, right? They've been shown by the EWG, which is a company that basically looks at all these environmental toxins, right? And they say that these 12 Dirty Dozen are the ones which are sprayed the worst. So if you were going to eat organic, you definitely pick things which are on this Dirty Dozen list and try to get those organic if possible, right? If you can't, then you might as well not eat it, or you'd opt for maybe some foods on the Clean 15. Now, if you really did have to eat something on the Dirty Dozen, I've spoken about this before, but you can actually soak it in one part vinegar to 2 parts water, and you want to soak it for around about 20 minutes. So just washing it will not actually remove the pesticides from there. So you need something like vinegar to sort of break down some of that pesticide. So if you are going to eat the Dirty Dozen, that's what you need to do. But if you can, opt for these things in organic if possible. All right. So that way you can minimize some of the overload of toxins in your, or bicarb. Yeah. Any sort of vinegar, bicarb, it sort of breaks down those, the pesticides. Okay. All right. So who can tell me, oops, I went too fast. Who can tell me when you apply something to your skin, how many seconds or minutes does it take for this, whatever you're applying to your skin, to get absorbed into your bloodstream? So who can hazard a guess? See who's the closest. All right, so not quite a minute. Mary's pretty close. So it actually takes 21 seconds approximately for whatever you're putting on your skin to get into your bloodstream, right? Because your skin is the largest organ. Your skin absorbs 70 to 75% of what you put on there. So quite quickly, right, it basically goes into your bloodstream pretty quick, right? So there's an amazing app. If no one's heard of this app, you've got to download the Think Dirty app. It tells you sort of how much of the toxin are in particular skincare products. So it gives it a rating from 0 to 10, and 10 being the most toxic, creating the most problems with your endocrine system and, you know, all sorts of havoc on your body based on the ingredients in the cosmetics. So it'll let you know sort of what that rating is based on the combination of the ingredients. So yeah, if you haven't got it, you can look up a lot of the products itself. If not, you can actually go to the EWG website, ewg.org. It's Environmental Working Group.org, and you can basically Google any, you can look up on their database any sort of, you know, chemical you're not sure of, because a lot of these companies, they're using such long words, you wouldn't even know what was in it. It actually tells you what that ingredient is, what it does to your body, and how toxic it is. So yeah, a really good app, and it can look up food ingredients. There's different numbers of food. So when you see foods on numbers on food labels and things like that, you can actually look up what it actually does for your body and how toxic and what it does to your body. So yeah, really good website to have a look at if you haven't already. So toxins in cosmetics, we've seen that it takes 21 seconds for it to basically go into your bloodstream. So these are the 12 top toxins in personal care products, right? So if you look at the back of the ingredients, just by having a quick squeeze, if you're seeing something like parabens, triclosan, sodium lauryl sulfate, right, PEG compounds, parfum, any of those things here, it's basically very, very toxic. So parfum or perfume, if you just see fragrance or parfum, it can be anywhere between a few ingredients to a few hundred synthetic ingredients. They wouldn't even tell you, they can't even list it. So they just write the word perfume, parfum, or fragrance. So if you see that, I definitely avoid. If you see anywhere it says fragrance or parfum, don't even buy it, because it can be made up of hundreds of ingredients in just that term alone. So it's crazy. So yeah, the most toxic ingredients to avoid in skincare, because like we said, it takes like just over 20 seconds for it to be absorbed into your body. So you really want to make sure you are keeping your personal care minimal of toxins. So something as natural as possible. So what can we do to minimize our toxic exposure, right? So we can definitely try to eat organic as much as possible. It's not always easy, but if you can eat farm fresh, organic, when you can, it's going to be better, because you're going to minimize the toxic exposure. Again, we said we're washing food in vinegar, 1 part water to 3 parts water, sorry, 1 part vinegar. Minimizing seafood, right? So you only want to eat small fish. So when you're eating small fish, they don't have as much mercury. So things like mackerel or sardines, right? They don't absorb as much mercury as like, you know, tuna or salmon. Using natural skincare only, removing fluoride, so using you know, water filter or a machine that will remove fluoride from your water, using fluoride-free toothpaste if you can, and removing all the BPAs and plastics. And like we said, all those things that you can go through in your house, if you can minimize, including cookware, all of that, that is all gonna help lower your toxic exposure. So here again, no microwaves. You can avoid using microwaves, right? It's emitting a lot of EMFs. In one of my TikTok videos, I went around with my EMF reader and just testing things was through the roof, right? Microwaves, Wi-Fi's, your 5G phones, even 4G phones, or your earpods that you're using, all of that is EMF. That's also toxicity as well, right? Plastic. So today Australia introduced a no plastics rule. So basically they've gotten rid of all the single-use plastics. So yeah, so also coffee lids, coffee containers. So if you're having coffee, I always tell, if I'm getting takeaway coffee, when they put a coffee lid on there, the first thing I do is throw that lid away, right? Or you can bring your own coffee, if you can, your own sort of coffee jar to get them to fill it up. But those coffee lids are plastic, usually is BPA, so it's not good. And also with a hot coffee, right, when there's plastic and there's heat, it's basically exposing more toxins. It's releasing the BPAs and toxins. So even they say water bottle, if anyone's heard of, basically if you have a water bottle in the car and it's been sitting out in the sun, right, I would not be drinking from that water bottle if it's been out sitting in the sun for too long. because again, a lot of those bottles are not BPA free. So yeah, using glassware only. So when you're using microwave or even storing things in your refrigerator, or if you're getting takeaway, make sure it's glassware only. So yeah, takeaway foods, if they're doing soups and things and they're putting in those BPA containers, it's not very good. No GMO foods. So if you can avoid anything that is GMO, genetically modified foods, you're going to reduce your toxins. Regularly detox, right? So doing regular detox, you can, many things you can take the detox, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. Glutathione. So glutathione is a master antioxidant. It's also great for lowering your toxic exposure, reducing oxidative stress. And if you haven't tested for your heavy metals, I would suggest doing so. You can do things through, there's lots of different websites. You can find and do a hair analysis. You can do an oligo scan, which is just a quick machine that can test levels of heavy metals, right? So knowing where you are in terms of your heavy metals and checking for your lead, mercury, cadmium, aluminium is going to be good to see where that's going. Because like I said, that takes a while for that to be able to detox. So you want to make sure you aren't, you know, too much excessive in terms of mercury and lead. Okay, next slide. So what can we do to detox? You can do it through food, right? So it may, by eating better, obviously, if you can minimize your toxic load, it's going to be easier to detox, right? So what happens is our body gets rid of toxins mainly through the liver, the GI tract, or the kidneys, right? So you can also use things like probiotics to support your gut health, because we talked about that last week, that a lot of your immune system, or the week before, your immune system is basically in your gut. So you want to make sure you're keeping, you know, the good flora, the good bacteria levels up. So taking probiotics, eating probiotic foods and prebiotic foods. Reducing your environmental toxins. So anything you can in your environment to minimize. Look, it's going to be hard to completely eliminate toxins. Like I said, there's 85,000 plus chemicals in the environment, right? But what we can do is minimize, and taking regular detoxing supplements and foods to, you know, get your body to detox. Your body can do that, but you want to keep the load low so that you're not overworking your liver, GI tract, and kidneys. So you can do big, strong detoxes. There's lots of things naturopaths offer, and, you know, big things to actually do a proper detox if you wanted, if they're finding things in your gut and things like that. Taking glutathione, so that we said that is very good for minimizing your free radicals and helping oxidative stress. Your cruciferous vegetables are high in sort of NRF2, sulforaphane, and to minimize, it actually has a detoxification effect as well. And yeah, it's very good for pre and probiotics as well. Plant-based diet, so go plant-based as much as possible. Unless you're doing a little bit of protein, it should be, again, organic, hormone-free, yeah, as opposed to grain-fed and just farm-raised sort of protein. Coriander is actually really good as well for detoxing. It's a great detoxer as well. So I love making like coriander, just throwing some coriander in some water and boiling that up and drinking coriander water. It's very good for detox. And green tea, right? So having green tea when you can is good for detoxing. So what do I love? I love Protandim. So if you don't know about Protandim already, it's an amazing product that helps reduce oxidative stress. So remember, the free radicals creates oxidative stress in the body, right? So this can help to lower your oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. It helps your body to detoxify, significantly reduces all the cellular stress through the NRF2 activation pathway, and produces enzymes capable of neutralizing more than 1 million free radicals. And it also helps our survival genes, as well as supporting the body's natural ability to repair and rejuvenate its cells. In terms of skincare, I love this range, True Science, so also by LifeVantage, right? It mitigates any skin damage caused by oxidative stress, strengthens the skin protective barriers, protects all against the environmental damage on your skin, counterbalances sun damage, and it's actually formulated with a lot of NRF2 technology for healthier skin. And if you go to the Think Dirty app, you'll see that it has a rating of 0 or 1. So almost no toxins or minuscule, hardly noticeable, right? So pretty much very, very natural for your skin. So yeah, this skincare is amazing. If you haven't tried it, talk to the person, yeah, and they can tell you more about the True Science skincare. And again, hair care, right? This one also uses NRF2 ingredients, so for detoxifying and protecting against oxidative stress. Super clean formula, no harsh chemicals whatsoever, And on the Think Dirty app, it is only a rating of 0. So super clean, no chemicals whatsoever. So yeah, really important. Remember, we said that it takes 21 seconds and most people are using terrible products on their skin and hair. Like I had a client who was always reacting, had a red itchy scalp, and she was using toxic hair care. And every time she put it on, she was wondering why she got really itchy. So we switched her to something natural like the True Science. She didn't notice the scalp being itchy at all. So yeah, really important to make sure you're using good skincare and hair care. All right, so that brings me to the end. Just stop screen share. And if anyone's got any questions, let me know if you've got anything you want me to answer. So hopefully you learn a few things or two. I remember when I learned all about the Teflon, I just basically threw out all my pans in one go and just bought an entire brand new set of kitchenware. So yeah, it's really important that we're actually cooking with the right things. Are there any questions? You can unmute or pop it in the chat. So yeah, lots to think about. Like I said, when I'm saying this to clients, like they think, oh, it's all too much. But I'm like, look, just make little changes, right? A little bit each day. It becomes overwhelming if you try to implement everything. So you just want to be doing a little bit by little bit, just making those changes as you're going along. So yes, Julie, you raised your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. That was so good. Yeah, it's quite depressing that I'm thinking about all the changes that I have to start making now. One question I wondered about though was, and I've always been concerned about amalgam fillings and what have you. My son is 8, and when he was 5 or 6, he got stainless steel caps put over his teeth, 2 of them, and I don't like the idea of any metal in the body. What do you think about that?
You'll have to check with the dentist that put them in what was in the amalgam. Some of them may, I think the more recent ones, it's actually not as bad as it used to be, right? So they may not have mercury. It's mainly the mercury and lead that you've got to be concerned with. So just because it looks like it's stainless steel, maybe it's hard to know because I'm not a dentist, but I do know back in the days, those dental amalgams were particularly bad. You know, when they smile, you see this gold tooth, right? It was definitely full of dental amalgams and heavy mercury and lead. That's why they said, you know, those people that were making those felt hats back at the turn of the century, they went literally mad because they were using mercury in a lot of those felt hats. And that's why their lifespan was literally under 30 years of age. So that's crazy. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure. If you're not sure, I would take him to a holistic dentist and get them to check out what it is. They can usually know sort of what the amalgam is made from, and they can actually remove it and put something more natural. Like, yeah.
Well, these are actually the caps that fit over the top of his tooth, so it sits over the top like a little coat.
Yeah.
But she did say it was stainless steel because that was my concern, but
all right. Probably okay. Stainless steel is probably not bad. So I think these days are much more aware of having dental amalgams. This is sort of more in the last 10 to 15 years, they've been more aware. But if it's anything more than 20 years old, then yeah, they definitely would have had mercury. So yeah, but if you're concerned, I'd definitely take them to a holistic dentist and have a look. But if it's a stainless steel cap, it's probably harmless.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. Got a question here from Jan Christian. Thanks from Germany. Oh, hello from Germany. What omega-3 product do you recommend? Because you said we should minimize. Yeah, so I spoke about that in last week's presentation, Jan. So if you want to message me or contact someone who brought you on, they can let you know about the omega-3. Yes, you should minimize your consumption of seafood. Like I said, if you're going to have seafood, I would definitely make sure it's like wild caught salmon. You're having small fish like sardines, mackerel, that sort of thing, because there's going to be less mercury, right? So you don't want to be having too much tuna. I have clients that have way too much tuna. One of them, her heavy metals was through the roof, and she was having a can of tuna a day. So you want to make sure that you're minimizing that as well. And I spoke about the gut health. So if you want to message me, or I can send you the presentations from the last two. So I covered omega-3 last week and gut health the week before. So yeah, be able to
Thank you very much.
Give you a link to those recordings. All right, is there any other questions? So cool, yeah, hopefully it's not too overwhelming. I think just little by little, if you're not taking Protandim, get onto that. And yeah, look, just minimizing your exposure. We can't avoid it, obviously, unless you live in a bubble. So it's all about getting your body to make sure it's detoxifying properly, having all the right things in your diet, and just whatever you can to minimize all those toxic, exposures. So yeah, there's not much we can do apart from just letting our livers to detox as best we can, and yeah, keeping the toxin levels as low as we can. But yeah, it's not going to be possible to eliminate it completely. We live in a digital world, so just EMFs alone, which is a whole new topic on itself, is quite scary with a lot of the EMFs out there as well. So okay, if there's no more questions, thank you all for listening, and yeah, great.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks so much.
Thanks all.
I think everyone's loved it. Everyone's just freaking out inside the chat, just saying thank you so much. So it's been amazing. We're learning so much from you, and just really appreciate you giving all this time to us. It's been amazing.
Yeah, look, don't freak out. Like I said, the best thing is now you're aware of those. If you don't learn, you're not going to know, right? So most people aren't even aware of how much they're actually, and they wonder why they've got, autoimmune problems and all sorts of health issues later, right? It's about being aware of it now and just making small changes as best we can to live a healthier life. Like I said, it's just getting on top of it the best we can.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.